Welcome to a Nathanless edition of the Bulluminati podcast. I'm Seth Varnadore. With me tonight, Robert Steeg. Steeg, how are you doing this lovely
Nate's
evening?
dead. Oh, I'm doing good.
He's not dead. He's on death's door.
Right. He's being keeled over by a cold, which I think is the new thing that's going around right now is death by colds. So we'll keep him in our thoughts and prayers, our T's and P's.
Yes, T's and P's to Nathan Bond and family. I'm not sure. Usually, one in the house has it. Everybody in the house has it. We had a nice round of strep last week, so I'm assuming he's got children or family members are also sick. So good luck to all of them. But we've actually got things to talk about this week.
We do, for the first time in a while. Yeah.
Yes. They released the football schedule, which we kind of knew who they were going to play, but we didn't know when they were going to play. And this is key, which is important. And I think it kind of lays out pretty nicely. We'll get to that in a little bit. Pretty packed night of USF athletics, Steeg.
I'm furiously refreshing over here as well. I don't have it on any of my screens or anything. I think she just tweeted it. She said there's so many sports happening, and we're just sitting here talking about football, which is what everyone cares about.
We've got one verified dub, right? We got a women's basketball W in the books.
We got two verified dubs today, actually.
Oh, go for it.
Softball beat Florida Gulf Coast earlier.
Another verified dub. Baseball, they up on UF right now?
They are. They're up 10-8 in the bottom of the ninth. UF just hung 7 runs on this on the top of the ninth. So let's see if they can close it out. Go for a nice little dub here.
And I heard the game yesterday was a lot closer than the final score indicated, right? Florida kind of similar, where it seems like the ninth innings kind of turned both these games the last 2 nights.
Right, yeah, and it's a midweek game, so you're kind of at times not using your ace guys. You're using a lot of young arms just because it's a weeknight game, and so that can kind of happen. You throw a guy in for the top of the ninth, and it might be his first game of the season, or it might be kind of a long stretch between games, and they'll rattle off 5 runs. UF's obviously a highly respected baseball program, so
I think the top 10
to keep it
right
close,
now,
I think was good. Yeah.
Top 10, so that'd be 2 pretty. If you can pull out a win here, that'd be 2 pretty good wins on the season so far. I know you and Vito talked about the initial series against Maryland, right? So that'd be 2 pretty good wins there. Now I think it'd be only 2 wins, right? So
yeah, 2
good ones.
4. Yeah, 2 top 15 wins is good in my book.
That'd be a good start. All right, basketball, women's basketball W. I had a question I wanted to ask you and Vito the other night, and it's kind of, it may not be as relevant tonight because we're seeing like people's heads just get dunked on repeatedly. But I was going to ask you, what is a more enjoyable, fun watch? USF men's basketball or The Last of Us?
Honestly, at this point, it's The Last of Us. Well, both of them kind of do the same thing. Both of them kind of lead me to fall up and then just rip my heart out in the last 5 minutes. So they're basically one and the same to me at this point. They'll have a high artillery. Yes, the emotional journey of each is way too similar. I mean, for anyone who didn't play The Last of Us or is not paying attention to The Last of Us, it is sad. It is depressing. It is U.S. basketball personified into a video game or a TV series here.
This is also true.
Yes.
Both of them have gotten people angry a lot.
And I think the show is as good as the game. I only had watched people play the game. I fell in love with it. I never got a chance to play it myself because I never got a PS3 or PS4. So, poo on me. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I played the game. I've played both. I've enjoyed the show so far. But it is kind of different than the game. Not too like there's obviously you got to change some stuff for TV, but it's not. They didn't try to make it like gamified where there's constant action. Um, it is a little bit slower than the game, I'd say, but the world is very interesting. So, um, the core, I think they're doing a good job keeping the core things the same. So, um, I think you can, Hector. I think you can go back and forth, or kind of have that up and listen and go to another app. So, I'm sure you want to check the scores and whatnot. All right. So, Steeg, are you ready to talk football schedule?
Yeah, as men's basketball is coming to a close, yes.
We'll do. We'll see if we can stay on until the end of the men's basketball game, and then we'll
Yes,
do.
there we go. Keep me distracted. I'm gonna
We'll have our
throw my phone.
we'll have an update at the end here to see if the Wednesday sweep has actually happened here. So let's look at the football schedule. So we had the non-conference games were pretty set, right? So we had the dates on those, but the conference games had not been set in stone with dates yet. So let's take a look. First game on the road, Western Kentucky. Probably a much tougher game than when it was initially scheduled.
Quite a bit, actually. I think tenfold, if I could even say that.
Yeah. FAMU, you'll see one of your leading candidates there, and Willie Simmons leading FAMU into Ray J. And then the following week, Alabama. That's gonna be an interesting game.
Let me tell you, it caught steam because obviously us USF fans, we knew Alabama was coming to Raymond James Stadium this season as a part of that home or to get one home deal that we have with the University of Alabama. So we knew this was coming, but a bunch of more national folks started figuring it out, and just there was a lot of why. There was a lot of very big confusion because Bama doesn't do this normally. I mean, yeah, they'll play their group of five, cupcake and, beat them by 65 points and whatnot and everything. But Bama that's usually a home for Alabama. That's usually, a tune-up game for them of some variety, game one or game two. But yeah, for them to travel to a group program, I think is pretty rare. I don't remember the last time that they've done that. It's probably University of like Louisiana Monroe or something.
Yeah, it's been a long time, I'd imagine. Interesting. So Alabama's in like a good sandwich spot, I think, for USF. But looking at Alabama, they got USF in a kind of a tough sandwich. So they got Texas at home, then travel to USF, and then next week Ole Miss at home. So that'll be an interesting spot on the schedule for them. Maybe you get a little look ahead there. But that's something we can discuss as we get further on. But it's hard. It's really hard to say. I know Vito. I listened to you guys on the roundup, and Vito was like, it's just the lowest common denominator going through and looking at how many wins. But I kind of want to do that. But that's the first thing that pops in your head, right? But I do think it's hard, obviously, with the team being pretty poor last year, and losing a lot on off. I think that's the one thing that even I'm still kind of in my mind kind of got to kind of come to grips with that. They did lose a ton on offense, and they were really good. Now they were able to kind of pass the ball better as the year went on, but they were really good at running the ball, and they lost pretty much all the production from that. They lost Petit. You lose your best back, and then you lose 4 of the linemen, right? So that's going to be tough to replicate this year. So I've been kind of thinking maybe the offense takes a step forward, but it may be tough. Let's just kind of look at this first month here. What are you thinking? I think that's a pretty good outcome in terms of how it stacks up to come out swinging a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Western Kentucky game is obviously going to be the I'm not going to be bullshitting. Everyone's going to be looking at that game to see where USF is at. You know, a fellow Group of 5 program, one that, albeit has been a lot more successful over the last few years than USF has been. You know, in the traditional sense of things, you know, that's a game that you might lose maybe like 20% of the fans if you lose it. But I think you can kind of really kind of make a statement if you can kind of, I don't want to throw the excuse out there. I mean, Western Kentucky is a very well-coached team. They brought back Austin Reed, who threw for 55 million yards last year. So you're looking at a very weird instance of you're playing one of the better Group of 5 programs to start the season. It's not the prettiest start as you're one of the worst Group of 5 programs. So it's not going to look as pretty as it should when you compare apples to apples like this. But at least in the grand scheme of things, you can kind of give a pretty good litmus test for the offense at the very least. I don't think defensively you're going to find out anything anything new. It might be much of the same, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a tough opener. I think maybe the one saving grace is that there you go. And it comes in with the Bama. Last time they went to a G5. That nice little we're on probation, but we're gonna go to Hawaii as a consolation prize for everybody. Real quick, Steeg, anything on this? As we were talking, baseball wins.
Big dub.
All right, so that leaves one on the board. We won't even talk about it. That leaves one on the board for today. But yeah, maybe the saving grace is that you feel like you got some depth in the defensive backfield. They're going to get tested immediately. Western Kentucky's been throwing the ball around a ton, and they hired Mississippi State's Drew Hollingshead, who was like a receivers coach there. He's going to be running the air raid stuff. So you're going to see a ton of throws, and you have some added vitriol maybe with a little bit of news that happened between our last recording and now. USF has another new receivers coach.
Another new the third one.
Third receivers coach of the Alex Golish era. With Damian Washington, played at Missouri. You may remember him from there, and then was supposed to be like a GA last year or a quality control guy at Oklahoma. Cade Gundy quit right before this season, or resigned, or maybe got fired. If you remember that whole situation with him saying some not great things. And he steps in and is the receivers coach last year for Oklahoma, gets the job at Western Kentucky. Then USF goes and grabs him when their receivers coach goes to Kansas State. So some little added venom there.
Yeah. This hiring cycle is fucking nuts. Not to go off the rails here for a second, but I've been wanting to get this out in the appropriate avenue, and I think now is a good time. Like, UF is looking for a defensive coordinator right now.
They might have hired the guy, but they just they lost 2 guys to the Cardinals today.
Right. Like, the NFL is definitely taking a look at what the college ranks are kind of doing, and yes, off the rails, but more fun. But I mean, for all the intents and purposes of what's going on, like I don't. Yes, USF losing 2 wide receiver coaches in the same offseason is nuts to me. But I look around and like UCF just lost their running backs coach yesterday, and this isn't. Alabama's still waiting for their piece. Notre Dame is still looking for an offensive coordinator, and so many vacant gaps, and spring starts in like a week and a half. Like,
Florida
I think
starts spring in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they kind of lucked out. Yeah, they kind of lucked out. I think the guy they hired runs kind of the same stuff. So, but imagine like Notre Dame, where I guess they ended up kind of internally promoting, but like you mentioned, UCF. They just had their running backs coach go to Miami. Well, I'm sure practice is imminent for them, so you got to hire another. And this is after they had their defensive coordinator hired away in the offseason, and this and that. So I think you're going to see more guys go to the NFL too if the recruiting schedule doesn't get fixed or changed, because it's just constant right now. and that's where you're
Right.
seeing younger and younger guys. I think we'll end up getting to, and this is probably something for another show or a little more general college football. I think we're going to end up getting to where you have a recruiting staff and you have a coaching staff, and if you have, I think if you allow coaches, which is a rule they're looking at, if you allow everyone everyone that can to coach during practice, well, you can hire a lot of quality control guys to handle your practices, and then you could your 10 counting recruiting coaches can just be recruiting heavy, and so you almost have two different staffs. You'll just have to figure out how to merge it on game day, because right now you can do whatever you want you'd be able to do whatever you want during practice, but not during games. So that would be a big change. So yeah, but USF has not been immune to the odd coaching shift schedule here. So that Western Kentucky game, a little bit extra to it, not just game one, but you also stole the receivers coach. So then you get your first home game. I think this is one that, fingers crossed, everyone's kind of got penciled in as a pretty sure victory here. even in the last 3 years, they haven't lost to an FCS team, so should be a victory there. But the next 3 games, I think, are pretty interesting. I don't know what to expect from Rice or Navy, really. Rice ended up going to a bowl game, but they were 5-7 and not a great team last year.
Right. They overperformed, if that makes sense. Like,
I think they won games, but were like really bad even when they won. Like it was kind of fluky, it seemed like.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of that, yeah. I mean, again, I'm double checking. They were 5-8, 3-5 in the conference. Kind of took care of business where they needed to take care of business, and
how many teams have ever gone 5-8? That's got to be a small list, right?
That's got to be at least. Well, I mean, you also got to think back. Probably in the modern era of college football, it's very rare. But I would imagine there was quite a few times that Penn State went 5-8 off of pure scheduling in the 1940s or something like that.
Independent. And
now they have JT Daniels. Yes, you are right, Heath Hunt. They have a 7th-year senior JT Daniels potentially leading the helm. I don't think that he's been announced the starter yet.
So they're kind of, I think, there's not a ton of, to me, I think there's like 3 or 4 teams on here that you're like, these teams are really good. You're going to have a lot of problems. I think Western Kentucky's one. Alabama's obviously one. I think UTSA is one. I guess Memphis or UAB might be another one. The others, it's like, it's kind of, I think there's a lot of toss-ups on the schedule. And then that includes that Rice and Navy. I think there's a very real possibility you go into October 3-2.
Right. And not even paying mind to the fact that Navy, UAB, FAU, and Charlotte are all bringing in new head coaches as well. So that kind of adds a different variable into conference games a little bit because, they're in the same position we are. Obviously, depending on how you look at it, some of these teams are set up for success a little bit better than Golish is just off of SP Plus rankings. But I mean, Navy didn't really make the big splash higher that you thought they would.
No,
I say with a sarcastic tone.
Hey, we were bad and we're going to fire a head coach. Let's just promote the defensive coordinator. That was kind of an odd one.
That was you just had to pay a guy at that point.
I wonder how that's taken by the players. They seem, Ken Niamatalola, is that right? I saw him on Twitter. He's just having the seniors over for dinner still. He's still pretty connected with the players there. I wonder what that kind of, is this something where they're like, oh, well, it's an in-house guy, we'll rally around him, or is it something like, man, why'd you fire a coach and just promote another guy? So that'll be interesting to watch.
I really thought this was the chance for Hawaii and the service, or Hawaii Navy. I'm looking at Flying Hawaiian in our chat here. I was sitting here thinking like this could be the time that Navy can make the change, not necessarily out of the triple option, but into a more modern version of the triple option. but I just know that would be met with the worst of fanfare. So I figured they would do something like this. I thought they would hire the guy from Kennesaw State.
I thought they just hired the head coach straight up from Kennesaw State.
Yeah, or one of the other D2 or D3 triple option schools.
Davidson was another one that's had some success doing kind of the option stuff. Yeah, I did not think in-house was gonna be the hire there, but
right,
alas, it was.
So that you got that, and then coming into the next one, you got Dilfer Ball.
Yeah, that's another big question mark. What's that going to look like?
Mm-hmm. And then that hire has been met with a lot of mixed reactions from the folks of, you might bring in a couple good recruits or two just off of name alone, but how many of these kids are big fans of Trent Dilfer in the state of Alabama?
Big Dilfer Ball, baby. He coached in Tennessee, which I think he coached in Nashville. I don't know exactly how far away that is. I know they're not too far from Alabama and Nashville, but so I don't know if he's got connections, close by with high school coaches around there. Who knows? He coached at a private school there, so I'm sure there's some guys up there that don't really like him. Then you got FAU for homecoming, and then on the road at UConn to round out October. And then November's got a couple tough ones in here. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the worst part about this is we're probably going to lose to UConn, and that's just going to be like of like anything. Like I think everyone would be kind of like understandable if the season were to play out where, just going off of the schedule right now, loss, win, loss, toss up, win, loss, some variety of that leading up to that UConn game, and then you lose to UConn. There are a lot of old USF fans that'd be very upset at that. That'd be the first loss to UConn in 10 years, I think.
Yeah, that would be it'll be interesting to see where they get to, because they were another one that ended up being bowl eligible, right? But it's not like they were world beaters either during the year.
Right.
So the kind of similar to Rice. So there's most of the schedule, I think, is just question marks, and you really have no idea how much you underperformed your talent last year. It feels you kind of feel like they've underperformed their talent, and then injuries and things like that kind of really hurt them last year. But you feel like you really underperformed your talent these last few years. So as asking for 3 or 4 wins seems reasonable, but
no,
like with the schedule, you have no idea what. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's just comical because it's fun, like objectively, and taking the USF fandom out of it for a second. It's kind of fun to see what's in store every single year, especially with what's going on right now, because it's like you're even like a year over year team. There are very few exceptions right now for a team year over year that's not turning over a good bit of their roster, bringing in new transfers from, top programs. And, it's a new era of college football, and there are teams that are going to zig and there are teams that are going to zag at it. And Bill Connolly put a perfect piece about it at it. But that defense is going to be kind of the big thing that everyone's going to be looking for, because we know it based off of 247 talent and everything else, that the defense was talented last year. They had the pieces that they needed to in order to get things done, but injuries, scheme, whatever it was, just wasn't clicking with them. So you bring in now the third defensive coordinator for a lot of these guys. Will that fix them? Because just because they played bad last year doesn't mean that they're going to be bad all year, every year,
Yeah. And it also doesn't mean, right, that they're going to automatically improve this year because of how bad it was last year. So it's really... I'm trying not to get over my skin. I'm always super positive going into seasons. Almost typically like more, I like to put out more positivity at the beginning of the year than even I believe sometimes. But it's hard to get overly positive after the last few seasons, right? Because you haven't been asking for much. But one thing I do like about how the schedule lays out, one side note, catching Charlotte at the end of the year might be tough. It would have been nice to catch them earlier, just because how much they've turned over their roster. Catch them at the end of the year. They'll probably be playing a little bit better by then. But when you look at it broken down by home and away, besides the Alabama game, it certainly seems like you got a bunch of winnable games at home. And then away, you got your tougher games on the road, which if you had to pick, that's how you'd want it, right? Like,
Right.
if it's a game I'm probably going to lose, I'd rather have it on the road. Give me winnable games at home. So I think they have they have some winnable games at home.
They really do. And that's, I think, the biggest reprieve for this schedule is, you know, I think we can all live with that BYU game. But, you know, you're basically replacing that BYU game with Alabama as far as toughness goes. But, I mean, you had Tulane last year at home for homecoming, which that fucking sucked dick.
And you played them pretty tough until Bohanna got hurt. Even after you played them all right.
Right. So, I mean, I think, yes, the schedule's a little bit easier. I think that's just an inherent thing of, you know, the competition changing, not necessarily going down, they're going up or anything like that. But, you know, you're starting to see an evolution when it comes to these football programs. And, you know, I think the silver lining to this all, like you said, is that home schedule is favorable. You could probably feasibly say 4 out of those 6 are winnable games in most aspects. If you can steal 1 or 2 on the road, who knows? Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah, and I'll be really interested to see the over-unders for this conference. I think right now, UTSA is going to be one of the top teams, and then obviously you got Tulane, right? But it'll be really interesting with the kind of middle bottom here. I think it's going to be pretty. That was what we thought last year too. That it was going to kind of be jumbled up a little bit. I think it's really going to be the case this year. You're going to have a lot of teams that it may just be whoever's kind of healthiest and gets hot at the right time will end up having a year. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a fun league to watch. I know a lot of people are upset. I've seen things like. You know, this is all the schools used to schedule as your like cupcake game or your out of conference automatic dub back in the day. But I think it's going to be a fun conference in terms of competitiveness. Now, obviously, you'd like to be in a Power 5 conference, but I think this gives you a chance to be competitive, obviously, a lot quicker, and then to get this thing turned around. You know, realignment seems to be constant and not going away anytime soon. So I think your best bet is be competitive. And I think if you're in this conference and you win it, you have a chance to make the playoff. It certainly seems, right? So,
I mean, for everything that everyone has ever said, this is still the best group of 5 conference in college football.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can make an argument to the Sun Belt might have a better team every once in a while. But, you know, from top to bottom, especially that middle pack, you know, the American is still going to be the top choice there as far as, you know, the conference alignment goes.
Yeah. And are you all right? So that's kind of the competitive side. Are you going to try to make any of these road games this year?
I'm going to try our travel. And I'm the worst fan. I went to 2 games last year, I think. So, you know,
yeah. Are you going to try to make any of the home games this year? That's what I guess I should have.
Right. That's the big thing is, but I mean, the good news about this, and again, I'm putting this silver lining on everything here, is that you're getting new teams coming in that are actually in good cities, like fun cities to visit. San Antonio is a great city to visit.
And they play the Alamo Dome, right?
Yeah, they play in the Alamo Dome.
That'd be pretty cool.
Right across it's like the River Walk is nearby, and there's a whole lot of really interesting things going on in San Antonio at a time. Charlotte, the city itself is nice. The airport, avoid it. Birmingham isn't the worst place to visit in the world in the nicest way possible. It's actually got a great nightlife and a great little town there. So, I mean, and then Rice is obviously in Houston. So you replace Houston with Houston. So, you know, evidently there's still some fun to be had traveling to these games. I know Navy is going to be probably the top of the list for everyone, especially with that UTSA game on a Friday. That really kind of stinks because that was a game that I was really kind of just hoping for, you know, having that on a Saturday. But yeah. Oh yeah, for foodies.
Barbecue heavy schedule.
Big barbecue.
Does Charlotte have any bar? I know the Carolinas got their own kind of thing.
Yeah, they do.
Charlotte
They got
have
their
any
own
type of
Carolina
scene?
barbecue.
Oh, they don't have. Yeah, I guess it's a home game, right? So we're not going to be traveling there. So I think I'm going to try to make UTSA. I'd like to see a game in the Alamo Dome.
That'd be good.
I think that'd be fun. So this is it's a great barbecue conference, apparently.
It quite really is. That's what it is. It's not the American. It's the American Barbecue Conference, and then you have
BBQ conference,
and then Tampa with you know, we'll supply the sandwiches for the pulled pork, and that's about it.
There you go. It's the conference for foodies. Philadelphia's even got some stuff, right? So there you go.
Yeah, a little Philly cheesesteak action.
What's Connecticut got? They got some they got some of the pizza stuff, don't they?
They got lobster rolls.
There you go. What a conference.
And then you got Boca.
They got something, I'm sure.
What is that? Tapioca pudding. And
they've got some great stuff. You can go down to Del Boca Vista down there and get some good stuff. Just don't go at 5 o'clock or they're gonna think you're really rich. So you got to go for the early. Right. So what do you? Let's hear it right now, Steeg. Put it in stone. What's your win? What's your win prediction right now?
I'm gonna go 3, and this is pre-spring. All's well that ends well and everything like that. We don't even know who USF's quarterback is going to be. I know Byron Brown is the hot name in the clubhouse for a lot of people, but you know Gary is still able to make plays and is good. And on
our Eagle Eye Sleuth in the Discord, I believe it's Sean.
Yes.
Noticed there was a picture of Gary running with a team.
Oh my! Hold on, timeout. Can you pull up a tweet for me real quick before we get to author? Can you pull up USF men's basketball most recent tweet?
Yes. Hold on. Let's wait 1 second here. All right. So great football schedule talk. So let's go.
Yeah. Great football schedule.
Football schedule talk.
But while you're pulling that up, 3 wins. I think before spring, before quarterbacking, before anything is decided. We got a promoter in chat as well. Just absolute.
For those audio listeners, USF men's basketball tweets, there are folks heading towards the exit in Orlando. To be fair, traffic is difficult here. And Steeg says, folks. So that's Steeg, what happened? What are they referencing here?
USF men's basketball just successfully swept their second program of the USF season here. Swept ECU as well, and swept University of Central Florida, a team that's going to the Big 12, to the Big Bad Basketball Conference.
Good luck with all that.
Good luck playing up against Baylor and Kansas when you just give 82 points to USF.
Oh my Lord.
Good Lord. Tails between the legs.
So it's official. It's a Wednesday night. It's a Wednesday sweep.
It is a Wednesday sweep. And softball is playing the second game of their doubleheader, and they might lose. So
we don't. They only got to win one. We don't count the second one.
Yeah, they tied it. It's tied. It was we were down 1-0 and being no hit, and we just tied the game. So that's fun.
Yeah, let those two guys post more videos, more singing, more Mickey Mouse Club, more Mickey Mouse Club stuff.
Hold on, I got like 3 people I got a message because of this.
Steve's gonna get off.
Well, we're gonna get back to football, I promise. So after that video made its rounds around the internet, 5 different people sent it to me, and they were like, "Bro, what the fuck is this?" And I was like, "Y'all haven't been paying attention because Jim Lighthall has been doing this shit all year. Like they went to Tulsa with like a like the fucking weather thing, and we're like, where's the hurricanes at around here?" Hilarious. It was funny all year, and I thought they were funny, cringy kind of videos. And so yeah, I have to message some people.
We'll go ahead and play this from the ESPN Twitter account.
Feel like if I'm not hitting tonight, that's it for me. I'm not even sure it's just about confidence. It's Brian, no way that just happened.
Lordy.
No way. Confidence when you feel like if I'm not hitting tonight, that's it for me. I'm not even sure it's just about confidence.
Oof. That's pretty good right there.
That's I love that. And Jim Lighthall making that call just so good. It's like the redemption arc has been just completed.
So what a Wednesday. We've got
quite a Wednesday.
We've got you beat 3 teams in the state of Florida in 3 different athletic events.
About to be 4. They just took the lead against Florida Gulf Coast in that doubleheader. Things are happening, folks. Things are happening. Yeah, 3 wins for men's football here. Switching gears back into the point of this show. And this isn't a slight on Golish. This is not a slight on the players. This is just me leveling down the expectations. I think we can probably pencil that A&M game. Florida A&M is not bad, but I think when you look at the talent disparity between those 2 programs, I think you can probably lean some favor toward SF. Charlotte is just, I don't know. No one knows how Charlotte's going to be because they've added like 52 new players to the roster or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like you'd almost rather get them early because maybe they'll get it figured out by the final game of the year, but they also might just be in peril for a couple. They might be in kind of free fall for a couple of years. We'll throw the schedule back up there. So you got FAMU, Charlotte, and who else?
I hate it, but like I still am leaning toward. I still think Temple's very good despite what happened last year. That's just my 2 cents.
Yes, I'm kind of with you. I think you'd think it would be winnable. They weren't. This was not like a great team. They just beat the brakes off of USF that day, but you're hoping you'd be improved, and that'd be a home game there.
And let's
towards
be honest,
the end of the year,
the home team always wins for the USF Temple rivalry. So we have that going for us.
Yes, I 3 I think is a pretty good number. Obviously, right now we're way out, so this is kind of just like fun. Let's just look at it real quick and throw something up. But I think 3 is a good number. I think. Well, what's not, I guess, concerning, but could very well happen is you could have 3. You could have 3 before October, and then finish with 3. That would be tough.
Right. That would be tough scenes.
Yeah. So, but there's probably, I think we both think Western Kentucky's a loss, right? On the road, first game. They're returning a ton of guys on offense against what was the worst defense in the country last year. Coach Golish is aware of that as well, by the way. That's a loss. Alabama's a loss. We think Memphis for sure.
Memphis is another one of those that I can't pinpoint.
They seem to be trending down, but they're also will come up and beat somebody they're not supposed to, it seems like.
Right. And we haven't played Memphis in a while. Right. It's been when did we last play them? We played them in 2020. So it's been quite a while since we've visited the Tigers there. So it's a question mark. I would lean loss, but like if we're gonna do lean likely, marker in or anything like that, I would put Memphis in like the lean loss category just because they are so variable from game to game.
Yeah.
But I think there's really only 2 like marker losses, and I think that is progress, baby.
Yeah, I think I just me looking, I think there's 3 off the bat that you're losing. You're losing Western Kentucky, Alabama, UTSA. I don't think there's like I wouldn't go so far. I think people may hear, oh, there's only 3 guaranteed losses. That doesn't mean I think they're going to win 9 games though. Like I think 3 to 4 games is a good marker. Like you've got this. It usually doesn't happen in huge bursts, right? Where they're going to go from 1 win to bowl eligibility, right? It'll probably be a slower progression, but I think it's just there's a lot of toss-ups, which is a good thing. I think if you're coming off a 1-11 year, that's great. You got a lot of toss-ups. But I think that might be until the talent level gets pushed up, that's probably going to be what the conference is going forward. So you could get a year where you have a really good year. The next year you lose those close games and now it looks really bad.
Right.
Yes, I would think.
Andrew,
I would think. I think Andrew's probably nailed it.
Yeah, it that's the best and only way to put it, really. It's somewhere between there. And I think that's perfectly fine for year 1 under Alex Golish.
Yeah, we'll talk about this more as like the actual season comes along and after we've seen spring and see if they added more stuff in the portal. It's probably way too early to talk about kind of goals for this season. You see the schedule and you want to like try to map out the season and see, okay, well, what should be the goal here? But that's something we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a few months. So anything else on the schedule or any other USF athletics happenings, Steve?
Softball's up 3-1. Yeah, it's just a joyful night in USF athletics. What a monumental day.
What are the odds?
Yeah, Wednesday.
What are the odds somebody in USF related Twitter steals Wednesday?
We have some fans in the Selman Center, so I'd imagine someone might steal that once everything goes final.
I think a Wednesday might get put out there.
Man, what a good. I was worried about today too. When Vito and I were talking about everything this week, and we were looking at the Wednesday schedule. I was like, oh fuck, man! Like the worst possible situation is like, yeah, you'll probably get a USF women's basketball game victory there for senior night and everything, but like softball hadn't been looking good over the past weekend. Baseball, didn't close it out on Tuesday night and had to travel to Gainesville. So that's ugly. And then the war on I-4, which is always ugly. That's kind of the scary moment of it all. And, hey, they ended up doing pretty good.
Yeah, a great day for USF athletics. It looked like the women's basketball might have a hiccup there for a little bit. They turned it on and won. I think that's probably the most important one at this point, right? They've got a chance to do something. I think that's it for us. We just wanted to come on and go through the schedule. Steeg and I both forgot we had some other engagements on Tuesday, so we were going to try to do this the day the schedule was released. Steeg had to go somewhere, and then I remembered it was my anniversary. So
you both were giving me shit. Well, how could you?
I was like, I can't believe it. He's bailing for some show. I was like, oh wait, hey guys, you mind if we push it? So yeah, so it's on Wednesday. That's my fault. We could have had a healthy Nathan if it wasn't my anniversary, but then maybe we wouldn't have got all these. Maybe we wouldn't have got all these wins here. So we have some cool stuff planned in the future. We've been talking about it. We're gonna try to do some things. There's a service called Playback. I just want to let you guys know about it as you're listening here. Check it out. It's called Playback. Basically, we can watch. I'm not sure if it'll have the NCAA tournament. It might have the women's tournament because they do have stuff through ESPN on where you can watch it. But basically, like if you have, you can come on, jump in, and we'll all be able to watch the game together. So we'll be able to do kind of a virtual watch party with the actual broadcast on. And then we'll also be able to go back and watch YouTube videos. So we might do something one night where we watch an old USF game. It's kind of be like the Zoom hangout we did a few years ago, but everyone can come in and watch a game with us, and we can talk through it. And it should be a pretty fun time. And then once we get to football season, all these away games, we could do virtual watch parties and things like that. It could be pretty cool. If you haven't seen it before, check out Playback. It's a pretty interesting thing. I'm in there, so we're going to try to use it in the coming weeks. So let us know if there's a game, like an older game you've got that's on YouTube that you guys would like to watch. Or
everyone's going to say the same one. Why are you even offering?
Well, let's it's the illusion. It's the illusion of choice here.
No, shut up. Shut up, everyone. We don't want to watch the West Virginia game. I want to watch the USF Army game in 2001 where USF was a college game day participant. That's what I want.
If the full thing's on YouTube, we can watch it. So there's some YouTube functionality, but there is also live game functionality. So I think during the season, we'll be able to watch games that are on. I'm not sure if they'll have like ESPN Plus functionality at that time, but games that are on like basic cable, I'd imagine we'd be able to all watch together, and the broadcast would be synced up. So it should be a fun time to do like a virtual watch party where everyone's broadcast is synced to the exact same moment. And you can actually watch. So as Steeg and I would be talking here, we'd have the game on the screen as well, and we'd be minimized. So it would be a pretty cool thing. We're going to test it out here in the next few weeks. That's something that's coming up. And we'll talk about that and get more feedback in our Discord. Steeg, tell them how they can join the Discord. We're up to about 150 people in there now. It's a pretty good community. Always stuff going on in there. It's a good time. So how can people join that, Steeg?
So it's very simple. There's a additional streaming service called twitch.tv. It is not for. There's a fun reason why it's called TV, but just follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Daily Stampede, and just send a screenshot of you following us, and we'll let you in. It's seriously as simple as that. We don't complicate things. We don't want to, put things behind a paywall yet. But we want to at least engage with the fellow USF fans in a better forum than Twitter will provide.
Yeah, it's to me, it's like it's kind of a mix of a message board that you get on a pay site, and it's like the best parts of Twitter. So like USF Twitter, if you enjoy being in that, Andrew's a big fan. He's been in there for a while. If you enjoy like the USF Twitter, but you hate having the trolls come in and that kind of stuff, it's great. We can kind of regulate who's in there. And if somebody's acting a fool, we can kick them out. But we haven't had to do that yet. Everyone's been really great. So that's a really fun community if you're looking for a USF community to join for free and kind of interact about sports. We could even talk about The Last of Us in there, all that kind of stuff. We've got everything. If you're looking for travel recommendations, I mean, Steeg's going to get like where to go in Barcelona recommendations. I think he's already got that lined up for somebody else in the Discord is going before him. Right.
I've also got to message, Jose and ask him some recommendations. I think he's busy right now, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to bother him too much.
That's true. And there's specialty. There are some specialty holiday messages in there as well. So we make it fun. It's a really good time.
Right.
So,
and we provide exclusive information in there as well. That's, I think, the main kind of draw point that we can tell you guys is that, we have different threads for different information. So recruiting and on-campus game talk. We don't really talk about realignment too much because a lot of it's like way above what even our heads are even saying in or hearing or anything like that. So those are just kind of general things, but we really try to segment it out so that people can talk about the things that they want to talk about in a forum where it's easier to respond. It's easier to see messages. It's just an easier format all around. So again, if you want to join the Discord, Twitch TV/The Daily Stampede, just send me or send us a screenshot on the house account, the
direct message.
SPN. Yep. Send us a direct message. We'll let you in as soon as I remember to log into that account.
Heath, we talk helmets in Steeg's equipment room, which is a channel in the Discord. Yeah, like we had the news, or I think we had a couple people mention LaDamian Washington days before he was announced as the hire. I think it was Tom McMahon nailed it. That's who he wanted, and then I think Sean kind of sussed it out before anybody else had it. We've done a pretty good job. Steeg and Sean have done a really good job on the recruiting side, and Nathan's got sources everywhere. And we'll wait. We saw some of the stadium leaks that came out, but I think we'll wait for Nathan to talk about that kind of stuff. So get his opinion on those too. So I think we're done. Join the Discord. Thanks for watching. Steeg, anything on the way out on this fine Wednesday?
What a fucking Wednesday, man. What a great fucking Wednesday. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me right back in with a day like this.
It's like golf. You hit that one good shot and you keep coming back. It's that one good day, and now they got you hooked. So everybody have a good night. Steeg, have a great evening. Go Bulls.
Adios.